Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Drew's Creations. Today's episode, I caught enough daylight and a nice enough day that I figured I'd come along and show y'all every one of the chainsaws that I own currently. The current saw lineup. Pretty much everything in this video is all complete. There's a couple that need some parts and a couple that may not run right now in its current configuration, but at once upon a time I've probably had it running, so we'll go over that. I'll take you through each one. Well, we'll do an overview and then I'll take you through each one and kind of show you a little bit about it, tell you a little bit about it, and anything I know about it. And we might explain, might go over what my favorite chainsaws are and why they're my favorite chainsaws, and kind of talk a little bit about that kind of stuff. So if this kind of video interests you, stay tuned because we got a lot of it. Yeah, y'all stay tuned. All right, guys, bear with me because this video is going to be a little long and it's going to be a whole lot of talking. So if that kind of stuff bores you, you may not want to watch this video. But if you like chainsaws and you don't mind hearing talking, you might enjoy it. But anyway, here's a quick overview of every chainsaw that I own. I've kind of got everything organized for the most part. There's a few strays in here, but pretty much everything here is Husqvarna or made by Husqvarna. You know, even that pole in there was made by Husky. The only exception in this lineup right here is that saw right there. That is a real Red Max. That Red Max there was made by Husqvarna. That's a John's Red right there, but it was also made by Husqvarna. So every one of these are Husqvarna, pretty much, aside from that saw right there. It's the only real stray. And then we got my steels back here. Aside from that one and that one, those are the two strays in that lineup. But I figure we'll start right here at the front and go over these saws and work our way back. So up front we have this saw right here. This is a Poulan 2150. It was given to me by a fellow that I worked on some chainsaws for. He said, here, for fixing these saws for me, if you can do something with this, he said, you can have it. And I said, well, they ain't worth a whole lot. But I said, these were still back one of the last decent little saws Poulan made. And some people don't like these, but these old square top Poulans were actually pretty decent saws, and you can fix them for relatively cheap. They ain't worth a whole lot, and they're not the best saw in the world, but this one was in really good shape, so I decided to go through and fix it. It's got a new primer bulb, new fuel lines, and all that good jazz. But it has been sitting for a while, so I don't know whether it'll currently run or not. The last time I tried to fire it, it was leaking a little bit of gas, stuff like that, but I did muffler mod it. I had it running really good. Somebody's JB welded the chain adjuster on it, but it was running pretty decent at one time. Like I say, I don't know if it'll currently start, but maybe we'll try to mess with it sometime or another. I was gonna have it as the reason why I even have this saw is because I was gonna use it as a truck saw. I was gonna fix it up and put it in the toolbox of my truck just so I have a chainsaw in case I ever need it. Because around here we get storms and stuff like that. And you never know, you might be driving down the road and there might be a tree in the road you need to cut out of the way or something. So that's what I was going to use this saw for. That's the reason why I even kept it, because I didn't really want to beat up on any of my other good saws, and I didn't much care for that one, you know. So that's why I even have it. And the next we have one of my 372s. This one's all original. The only thing that's not original to this saw is the full wrap handlebar. It is era appropriate. It's the right style of handle for this saw. So it does look the part, but it came off another saw. I like my full wraps, as y'all know. This saw right here is a 2001 model. Oh yeah, and the cap, the flippy cap's not original. I put that on there. I need to put the other one on. Might do that while we got it out though. Yeah, one of my 372s. It's all stock. They run really good, these old 372s. I love an Onyx Torx 372. But yeah, other than that, she's all stock. It runs good. Ain't nothing special. It's not ported or anything. Next we have my Husqvarna 77L. This is a really cool old saw. I love this old thing. Ain't got the best don't have any anti-vibe. So if you're not a big fan of vibration, this probably ain't the saw for you. But it is 77 cc's. And it's relatively lightweight for 77 cc's. It's a relatively small saw. You looking at it, I mean, compared to that 372, it's got a little bit bigger engine, but it's not nearly as bulky as some of the other saws. So yeah, 77L. It also runs. Hadn't been started in a while, but it does run. I'll pull it out and start it every once in a while. And I do take it to shows and run it and stuff. Next, we have my Husqvarna 238 SE. These are, excuse me y'all, my nose is running and everything. Still getting over my sickness here, but yep, we're doing all right. But this is my Husqvarna 238 SE. You can see the model and serial number on it. It does match, if I can get my camera to focus. There we go. Electrolux, Sweden. Husqvarna Motor Corp AB. These were like a predecessor to the 242 that everybody loves, if anybody knows about them. Not very many of these saws around. The 238's really rare. The 242's rare, but the 238's even more rare. This one is dirty from sitting in my building. It's been covered up with a bunch of junk. I do have a clutch cover for it somewhere or another, but I couldn't find it in the moment. This saw right here, I snatched off eBay. I had to have it because I didn't have one. And I'd been wanting a 238 for quite a while just to kind of go along with my collection. Y'all know me, I love these little old Huskies like this. I used to love the 2 Series Huskies, and I still do. But I don't have as many of them anymore. I just got to where I didn't use them as much and stuff and decided to part with them, let other people enjoy them. So these are some of the only ones of the 2 Series I still have. But yeah, this one here did run. I snatched it off eBay. It hasn't been started in quite a while. It's probably been well over a year since I ran this thing. It was missing an air filter and some other stuff underneath that cover, so I never really got to run it. And it does have a little bit of light scoring on the piston, so I was going to eventually tear this thing all the way down and go through it and freshen it up some. I just haven't had the chance to do it, haven't took the time to do it. So that's what the deal is with this one. So it may run currently, it may not, but last time I did pull on it, it wouldn't start. Here is an immaculate, well, it's dirty currently, but it's an immaculate Husqvarna 353. And it's all stock, all original. Got this off of an older fella. Didn't need it no more. I actually traded in my backpack leaf blower for it. I've got the original owner's manual and everything with that saw. Fella said that his dad bought this saw brand new, and all they ever did was cut a little bit of wood around the house with it and some limbs. But other than being dirty from my neglect, this saw is immaculate. The muffler's not even discolored on it. Actually, this is the only saw that I own that lives inside of a chainsaw case. And that's another reason why it's probably dirty too, is from living inside that case. But I usually keep it in that case to keep it from getting scratched and beat up. Yep, she's all stock, all original. Probably gonna wind up with a 346 top end on it eventually, but we just hadn't got around to that either. But it does run as well. All right, coming back over here to our next line. This is my Redmax G561 AVS. This is the one I said that was the one and only true Redmax. I do have a There is a separate video of this on the channel if you'd like to go see it cut and run. I've got a video where I muffler modded it and took it and went and tried it out in some wood, and this thing came to life with a muffler mod. I ran this saw probably about a year ago for my brother. My brother-in-law called me up, and it was cold. It was the middle of winter, and he was needing some wood and didn't know where he could get any. And I took this saw out and cut some firewood for him with it, and filled the bed of his truck up and sent him home so he could stay warm, keep the family warm. And in the midst of all that, the fuel line finally started leaking on this old saw because it shrunk. You know how that goes. So I need to put a fuel line in this thing, but it was running last time I had it out, and I'm sure it still will, but I'm gonna freshen it up with a new fuel line, maybe a carb kit, because this saw here was owned by my grandpa, and this was one of the only saws I ever got off of him. It was one he's owned ever since I can remember. This saw was in the building when I was a kid, and I always loved getting it out and running it ever since I was old enough to run a chainsaw. So this saw right here is kind of sentimental to me. It's one of the only ones. That's why it's kind of an oddball, but it's a very sentimental saw to me. And I'll probably never ever sell it just for that reason. It's a really low hour saw too. It's another one that's dirty from my own neglect, but that is the original bar and chain. Well, not the original chain, but that's the original bar to this thing. It's a Red Max bar, but it's made by Oregon. We don't have Red Max on it no more. It's stamped Red Max, but it's still got most all the paint on it. That tells you how little this saw's been used. It's done more sitting than it has cutting, but I do love to get it out and run it every once in a while, and definitely love the fact that I muffler modded it because it really woke this old saw up. Not trying to get too in depth here, but this old saw's got a cool feature. It's got an adjustable oiler. You can adjust it right here on the fly. It's one of the things I love about this thing. You can adjust the oiler right there on the fly. You don't have to have a screwdriver or nothing. And yeah, this old saw runs good, just needs a fuel line, maybe a carb kit. I'm gonna freshen it up. I think it deserves it. It's been sitting for a long time, but anyway. Next we have my Red Max G 5300. Also has the original bar on it, and it still says Red Max. This was an eBay find. I'd been wanting one of these for a long time too, because I've had several 346s, but never had a Red Max. And if y'all know anything about these saws, this is basically a well, it's not a 346, but it is a red 353 is basically what this thing is. This saw here does run too, all stock, hasn't been touched, not even a muffler mod. But it's another one that's probably going to get a 346 top end eventually, or I don't know, we may port the 353 top end. I haven't decided yet, but that's the plans with it. She runs too. Been a minute since it's been started, but it does run. Here is another eBay find. This is my Husqvarna 246. It's in pretty good shape. Made in 1997. You can see it's in pretty good shape. It does run. It did run. Last time I had it out, I had a little issue with it there for a little while. It was running kind of funny, and it was turned out I thought it needed a carb kit, but it wound up having some trash in the carburetor. But it ran when I got it, and it did for a while, and then it started acting funny, so I figured it was time to, you know, go through the carburetor. So I cleaned it out and stuff, and last time I had it running, it was running pretty good, but it's been a while. And then next we have one of my 242 XPs. This one here, I think it was a Facebook find. It was a saw group find. It was supposed to be a parts saw, and me being me, I couldn't let it be a parts saw, so I had to know whether it would run or not. And I wound up putting gas in it, and it fired up and ran. I haven't cleaned it up yet. This is exactly the way it was when I got it. I need to take a day and go through and clean up some of my saws because they're all nasty, but yeah, this saw right here runs pretty good. And one unique feature about this one, Of all the 242s I've ever had, this one has what's called a jungle muffler on it. Never had another one with a jungle muffler on it, but this one's got it. It's really cool. It's one of the reasons why I haven't muffler modded this one. It's because of that muffler. But I might eventually muffler mod it, but I'll probably just put another muffler on it when I do. I've got a brand new NOS muffler that's original. I might modify it because it's not a jungle muffler. Next, we have, and despite what the cover says, this is a 372. I know it says 365 special, but this is a 50 millimeter top end 372. This one's kind of a hodgepodge. It's got some aftermarket stuff on it, which I'm not a big fan of. It's fixing to get changed here real soon. It's got an aftermarket handle, aftermarket top cover. If I leave this top cover on it, I'm probably going to wind up cutting it and putting a foam filter on it and stuff like that, because this saw right here is ported. It's got an aftermarket top end on it, but the rest of it's OEM. The crank's OEM. It's got brand new SKF bearings. Me and Bellhopper built this all together for me because I wanted a ported 372. It's got a modified muffler by Corey Corp on it. I needed an OEM muffler for it. I didn't have a muffler on it. I was borrowing one from Bellhopper, and Corey just happened to have that one. I told him to go ahead and modify it and send it to me, so he did. So that's a Corey Corp muffler. Beautiful job. I love it. Love that muffler. Looks amazing. As you know, me and Bellhopper do modified mufflers as well, but at the time I was real busy and didn't have time, and Corey already had the muffler, so I told him just go ahead and modify it for me. But yep, that's all runs really good. I need to bar it up and actually run it some, because it's the engine is still pretty fresh on it. It ain't got much time at all. Next, we have my beautiful John's Red 2171. And this is a fire and rescue saw, or was. Was a fire and rescue saw, so it's very low hour. It's a 2008 model. It was one of the last years they made the non-X Torque 372s. I'd been wanting a red version for a long time too, never had one, and saw this one pop up local on Marketplace, so I had to have it, and I went and snatched it. When I got this thing, it had never actually cut firewood or any kind of wood, like real wood. It was still a fire and rescue form. The only thing it didn't have was the fire and rescue bar on it, but it still had the 8-pin 404 sprocket on it. So it had never actually cut any real wood. So, you know, these things didn't get used. Some of these got used a ton, and some of them got used very little, and you can really tell which ones really got used and which ones didn't. I think this one spent most of its life in a truck because it's got some battle scars, as you can tell. But yeah, it had the cutter's edge decals and stuff on it, and they were falling apart, so I got those decals off of a fella who's a John's Red connoisseur, and these things had different handles and stuff on them, and I didn't like the handle, so I put a John's Red handle on it and all that stuff, and freshened it up and got it looking the way I wanted it to look. Right now it's just got old beat up 20-inch bar with a 8-pin sprocket on it. But yeah, you can see the other decals, and you can see it still got the original 8 times dry, which meant it had an 8-pin sprocket on it from the factory. So if you want to get technical, it's still got an 8-pin sprocket, so that's kind of original, except it ain't 404, it's 3/8 now. I washed the air filter and stuff on it, but I do have 2 brand new versions of these I can put on it. I just haven't yet. I need to put a new foam piece on it. But yeah, I do have 2 brand new ones I can put on it. I just haven't done it yet. But yeah, this saw runs excellent too. Love this old thing. Great saw. Next we have another 372 XP non-X Torque. This is by far the nicest 372 I have besides this one. This is the nicest one I own. This is the one, if you watched my previous video, this is the one in the very beginning we put a handle on. This is the one we swapped the handle on. This saw here is a 2003 model. You know, like y'all know, I love my full wraps, so this one's got a full wrap, and I had to have the non-X Torque, so it's era age appropriate. But But yeah, this one's all stock, not even muffler modded. It runs excellent too. Next we have my original, very first 242 XP. There's a story behind that saw. I've got some separate videos on just this saw too, so if y'all want to learn a little bit more about that saw, go back and watch that video. You can type in 242 XP on my channel, it'll come up and you'll be able to see it. But yeah, this saw here spent life in a box, and I got it, and me and Bellhopper threw it together. And back in those days, you couldn't get no parts for these things. These parts are still hard to find, but you couldn't even get a piston back then for these things. So she wound up getting put back together in hopes that it would run. And this one is muffler modded, which really makes a difference. It wakes this thing up. That thing runs excellent. I love that little saw. Next we have one of my personal favorites to play with. This is my highly ported 346 XP. It's like a get-together saw. I wouldn't really call it a work saw, but I do work it some. I can't not play with it. It's so fun to mess with. But yeah, this is a ported 346. A very, very spicy saw. Love it to death. It's got some brand new parts. It's got a brand new set of cases, and I think the top cover's close to about new. I think the pull starter was almost new. Clutch cover's new. Cylinder and piston's brand new. Yeah, this is a great saw. Love it. Runs really good. Got some separate video on that too if you want to see this saw in action and some cuts. Go check that out. Ported 346. It's the one that's got the safety chain still on it. Next we have another 346. This one is completely stock. Pretty low hour unit. Got it off a buddy of mine. Did some trading. Ended up with it. You can see the muffler's not even really discolored on it. But I wanted to do a little experiment and run an actual 3/8 chain on it. So I snagged that old vintage bar, that Tilton bar off eBay, and me and Bellhopper modified the sprocket on it. We put a different sprocket on it, done some modifying on that bar, and made that bar fit. It's a little heavy for what it is, but it does fit and it does work good. Oil's good. Probably gonna wind up going back 325 on it, but I just wanted to try it, and it works really good. It pulls it decent. It robs power a little bit for 3/8, but it is a stock saw, so that's part of it. But yeah, she's all bone stock. Next we have my beautiful, was brand new 385 XP. There's a video on the channel of this saw too as well. This saw was brand new when I got it, never had fuel in it. I did some trading for it. It's still in really good shape. It's a little dirty, but also has a full wrap from the factory on it. It was a West Coast ordered saw, so it's got the big spikes on it as well. And I did finally muffler mod this old girl. It's got a deflector on it. I love it. It looks really good and functions really well. That old saw runs great. It's probably got 5-6 tanks of gas through it. It's still pretty much brand new. And next we have my basically brand new 394 XP as well. That's about as new as they get. Every once in a while, just like that saw right there, you might run across an NOS one every once in a while that's never had gas in it, but and you can still buy 395s and stuff. But for the people that really love the 394s, anyway, you can buy 390s too, still, every once in a while. So, but you know, as y'all know, 385 is better than a 394. In my opinion, is a little bit better. But just a little harder to source parts for, just for the intake tract and all that stuff, as y'all know. But yeah, this is my almost brand new 394. Bought this off of a fella, and he was the first. I wasn't the first to put gas in this thing, but he was the first person to put gas in this thing. Said he only made a cut or two at his house, testing it out, playing with it, and that was all the cutting it had done when I bought it. He said a dealer around him was going out of business or something, and happened to have this on the shelf, and I guess he found out about it and snatched it up. But this saw here is a 1997 model. So yeah, it done a lot of sitting. The full wrap is not original to this saw. I put this full wrap on because I wanted it on there. You know, like I say, I like my full wraps. But the muffler ain't really discolored either. It looks about new. The spikes are original. This, you can order these full wraps and they come with a little bit bigger set of spikes, but I didn't really want the bigger spikes on it because I thought those were plenty big for it, so I left them on it. It's another one that's a little dirty because I have used it some, but not a whole lot. It's probably got, since I've owned it, I've probably put 1 or 2 tanks of gas through it just playing around. And I did have a tree job had a tree job about 2 years ago, taking down some old sweet gums, and I had to use this saw because I needed the 32-inch bar, so I did use it to take down one big sweet gum. Next, we have that old home light. Filmed it in the previous video, and then we have the John Deere. Filmed it in the previous video, and it's getting its own separate video. We have next. All right, next we have my Stihl 066 flat top. Those of you know about these saws. These are legendary saws, just like the 394s and stuff. These things right here are legendary saws. This one's in pretty good shape. It's not a red light. It's not a red light, which I kind of like better because the red lights had limited coils on them. This one does not. So even though I don't have it revving to the moon like some people do, this one will rev higher if you want it to. It's all stock except for the Jason Egan 3-point spikes. I do really enjoy those spikes, so I had to have a set on it. It does have the factory dual port muffler. Some of them did. Some of them, I think most all the 66s had the dual port muffler. I think that was one of their things. Yeah, excellent running saw. Story behind it. I was watching a YouTube channel, and he had made a video of a fella in Kentucky that had this saw, and I'd been wanting an 066 flat top for quite a while, and fella was asking a pretty fair price for it. And I asked that guy on YouTube, I said, how can I get a hold of that fella, since he don't deal with YouTube? And he got me in touch with him, gave me his phone number and all, and I was able to call him and work it out. And I wound up driving all the way to Kentucky from North Carolina and went and picked this saw up. It was like a 6-hour drive, 5.5, 6-hour drive, and we made that in one day. I got up real early in the morning and hit the road, and we picked that old girl up along with a bunch of other stuff. So drove quite a ways to get that old girl, but I love it. Love that old 66. Next we have my beautiful, immaculate, low hour Stihl MS440. And this is a factory West Coast version. It has the factory 3/4 wrap. It's got the factory wide flared out clutch cover, the factory larger steel dogs. This saw is a let's see what date it is. It is a manufacture date of 04/01, so the 4th month of 2001 is when this saw was made. It's immaculate. It's one of the cleanest ones I've ever owned. Super low hour. The guy I bought it from said he bought it off of a fella. So I guess I'm the 3rd owner of this saw. The fella had bought it brand new, and all this fella did was cut firewood, a little bit of firewood with it. I do have the owner's manual and stuff to this thing, as well as the tool kit to this saw that comes with them when you buy them new. So this saw is original. Also runs really good. I'd like to find, if anybody knows where I know they're few and far between, but I'd like to have a full wrap, or well, not full wrap, but 3/4 wrap for this saw. If anybody knows where I can get one, not an aftermarket one either. I want a OEM one, because I like to keep OEM. They're just much better quality stuff. And then next we have my beautiful 044. This is a 10mm saw. It's slant fin cylinder. Let's pull it out here where y'all can actually see it. The way you can always tell the difference if you look at the 044, to know whether they're 10mm or 12mm, you look at the cases right here. Well, matter of fact, I got one here to show you. If you look at the way the case is on this saw, you can see how it's cut out. It's got a little notch right here. If you look at this 440, all the 044s that were all the 044s that were 12mm, you can see the case is made different. It's like straight across. It's like a slant, versus this one right here has got that little round part. It's not straight like that one is. I'll let y'all see that again. So if anybody was ever wondering how to identify, a quick way to identify whether an 044 is a 10 or a 12mm, unless somebody's changed it or modified it, typically they're 10mm saws are made like that. And obviously if it's a 440, it's automatically going to be 12mm. But yeah, this saw right here is pretty low hour as well. Not quite as low hour as that, but this one's been modified a little bit. I mean, it ain't ported, but it had a regular cover on it when I got it, and I put that flared big cover on it, and I put the 3/4 wrap. This was an NOS 3/4 wrap. I put the Egan spikes on it, as well as a Egan straight shot on this old girl, because I wanted it to be able to breathe good. It does have a brand new carb on it as well, because if y'all know anything about these old 044s, the original carbs tended to give trouble. You can mess with them and mess with them and mess with them, and they'll run good for a while, and then they'll start giving trouble, and they'll continue to give you trouble off and on. So I wound up just putting a new one on it, being done with it. Next we have my 064. This saw right here, I bought local off Marketplace, and it's had some stuff done to it. The fella I got it from had a new top end put on it, I guess, and I don't know where he found an 064 top end, but it's an OEM 064 top end, because I've looked at the numbers on it, and I've looked at I've had the muffler off and looked at the piston on it, and it's still got machine marks on it. It's pretty much brand new. So got lucky on that. Didn't know that when I bought it, but I assumed somebody put a different top end on it anyway. But yeah, this saw right here is not as pretty as some of the other ones, but it does run good. You can see it. It's an 064. Badging's it's pretty much gone, but if you really look at it, I don't know if the camera will show it, but you can see where it actually said 064 AV electronic and the quick stop on it that they had. Good running old saw, and it's stock as well. It hasn't been modified. Just had that new top end put on it. It needs a little bit of attention. This saw does run, but it needs a little bit of attention. The handle's got a little wear on it and stuff like that, but it does work good. Next we have one of my favorite work saws. We have my Stihl MS462C. Great running saw. This is one of the M-Tronic ones. I prefer the M-Tronic ones just because they tend to be a little bit spicier, but you can get a 462 with a regular carb, adjustable carb on it, which is pretty cool. You'll just see holes right here in this spot. If you see the holes in this spot right here, you'll know it's got adjustments on it. I put the 3/4 wrap on this one, the billet cover, and the Egan spikes. I wanted a lightweight bar on it, so I put a lightweight bar on it. And I do quite a bit of cutting with this saw. Anytime I go get a job or anything to do, I usually take this one with me just because it's lightweight and it's powerful. It's just a blast to run. And it usually handles about anything I ever need to do for the most part, especially when it comes to falling. I usually do a lot of my falling with this saw. It's got an Egan straight shot on it as well. And the very last one, we have my Stihl MS200 rear handle. It's not a T, as you can tell. These are kind of hard to come by, and well, some of you might ask, why do you want that, Andrew? Why would you want one with a rear handle? Why don't you want one with a top handle? Well, I like to be different, is why. We did finally muffler mod this old girl, and boy did it wake it up a tremendous amount. But this saw right here is super, super, super low hour as well. Again, it's another one that's dirty from my neglect, just because I like to use them. They're chainsaws and I like to use them, but I do try to take care of it. This saw right here was basically brand new for the most part when I got it. It's a 2010, I believe. Yep, manufacture date 3 of 2010. I'm gonna step over here in the shade and talk about it. But that old saw, when I bought it, I paid a pretty penny for it, first of all, because I had to have one. And it had, the fellow that got it said it really didn't cut no wood, hardly ever. It's got the original bar on it and had the original chain on it when I got it. But it was a safety chain, and I wanted a professional chain on it, so I put a new semi-chisel professional grade yellow link chain on it. And when I bought it, it came with the it was another one that came with the manual and the toolkit and everything as well, so it's basically like brand new. So I've got several saws in here that's super, super low hour, but I'll tell you what, folks, I've been collecting saws for a long time, and saws like that are very hard to come by. They don't pop up very often. So if you get the chance to get an old saw, whether it's Stihl, Husky, Echo, doesn't matter what it is, if you like saws and it's something you want and it's super low hour like that, you better snatch it up, because they don't pop up very often. I was fortunate to get the 394, the 385, that 200, that 440. I love them all. But the age-old question is probably, what is my favorite saw? I like them all, and I'm not brand biased either. You see, I own some of both major brands, and I own several other brands too. I'm not brand biased, but you can see what I have the most of, so I prefer those, but I do like them too. And my favorite one, honestly, if I had to pick, I have a few, and I have a couple different reasons why I like what I like. I like a 70cc saw because it's a good all-around saw. You can do pretty much anything you want to do with it. You can throw a 20-inch bar on it and go cut firewood, 24-inch bar, 28-inch bar, and even maybe a 32-inch bar. And in some cases, I've seen people put 36-inch bars on them. That's asking a little bit of the oiler, and I wouldn't want to do it all the time. But in a pinch, a man could probably put a 32 or 36-inch bar on a 70cc saw and get it done if you need to. So a 70cc saw is really, really versatile, and you can get a lot done with that. So probably one of my favorite all-time saws, and especially for working and doing things, is I like a 372. I like a 372 non-X torque. That's why I have so many of them. Different versions, different variants. Doesn't matter, as long as it's a 372 non-X torque, I really like them. And over here in the 70cc range, I love an 044. or 440, either one. Prefer the 044 a little bit, just because, I don't know, it's nostalgic. But I'll take either one. I love both of those. So 70cc saw is probably my good all-around saw if I had to pick. I love that 462. It's a great saw. It's been really reliable, but it is M-tronic, and well, it's not something that, without having the right software, it's not something that you can just work on yourself and do stuff on without having to change parts and having that steel computer that you need to mess with the M-tronic. And I just like the old tried and true 372s for that reason, and 440s, no 44s. I love them both about the same, honestly. They're really hard to pick between the two. They both feel really good in the hands, and they both perform almost the same, really stock for stock, without being modified. They perform very similar, and they're both very reliable saws. So 70cc range, I like those. Those are my favorite. If I had to have a smaller saw to limb with and stuff like that, 50cc range would be my choice. I don't really want nothing no smaller than that for limbing and doing small work. Would have to be a 346 for me, just because they're reliable and they're a really good all-around saw. Performance wise, even in stock form, they're really good saws. I really love a 346 for that reason. And if I had to pick one big saw, it'd be a 90cc class. 100cc range is a little bit too heavy and just a little too cumbersome for everyday use. I would probably pick my 394, 395, somewhere in that neighborhood class of saw, or 66 flat top. I like 660s too, but that old 066 flat top just seems to perform a little bit better than the old bubble top 66s and the old 660 bubble tops. So, on the steel side of things, I like the flat top 66 for the 90cc class, and for the Husky side of things, I like a 394, 395. Prefer the 394, but if I didn't have a choice, if it was just a 395, I ran a 395 a lot, and they make a great saw too. They also perform really, really well. So those are my favorite saws, and I kind of gave you my reasonings why I like what I like, and everybody likes different, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with everybody liking different saws. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all folks today. This video was a lot of work to make, pulling out all these saws, because a lot of them's hanging up and put in different places. So yeah, this video was a lot of work. So if you liked it, you like videos like this, or you want to see something more specific on a specific saw, let me know, and we might do a separate video on a couple saws or something if you want to, and maybe take a day if y'all folks are interested. Just loop it down in the comments and let me know. We might try to take all these saws out and maybe try to run them all in a video or something. I don't know. What do you think? It'd be a lot of work, but if that's what y'all want to see, let me know. Loop it down in the comments. Let me know what y'all want to see. And let me know what your favorite saw is too. Put that down in the comments. Out of all my saws, which one's y'all's favorite? Which ones would you take if you had to choose? And give me a reason why you would choose that saw. Yeah, just let me know. If y'all enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment. Let me know what you think. Appreciate it. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Over and out. Haha. Y'all thought I was going to end this video off without starting all them chainsaws, didn't you? Didn't you? Yeah. Teased y'all, didn't I? Yeah. That's what we was going for. No, but anyway, all kidding aside, folks, that was a lot of work. It's a warm day. If y'all can't tell, I'm sweating. It's a lot of work starting all them saws. If anybody counted or was wondering how many's in there, there's 25 saws here. Some of them didn't run in the video. A couple of them I started, the ones that would start and had gas in them. A couple of them died. It is a warm day. They tend to load up sitting here idling in this heat. They're not really made to idle, so a couple of them did die. But y'all got to see the majority of them running. I hope y'all enjoyed that sound, that symphony of saws. It's such a beautiful, beautiful sound, isn't it? Doesn't matter what they are. When they're all together, sitting there running in harmony, there really ain't much better sound than that, folks. I love it. Honestly, it could be my ringtone or my alarm in the morning. I wouldn't mind waking up to that every single day. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Like I say, if you did, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment, tell me your favorite saw and why it's your favorite saw. Look forward to reading y'all's comments. I'll try to get to as many as I can. If I miss yours, YouTube don't always notify me of your comments, so I apologize, but I will do my very best to read through all the comments. Look forward to it. And as always, y'all stay safe, be kind, and Drew's Creations out. We'll catch you on the next one.